All right, so yesterday we worked on translating sentences into algebraic equations, which was different before when we were translating into algebraic expressions. Now we have an equal sign in the situation. And today we're going to just take it one step further, and we're going to translate sentences into equations and then solve those equations. So let's quickly go over the answers to the do now. All right, check out these answers, and just want to point out that this number 1 was just an expression, and 2 and 3 were equations, and we're dealing with the scale here and balance and all of that. So keeping in mind the difference between an expression and an equation. Let's take a look at the homework answers real quick. Just a little bit more translation. Note number 3 was the sum of several things, the sum of 7 and 9/100ths, which is 0.09, or 9 over 100, and k, and we know that it is 11. Let's see, anything else we want to talk about here? The rest of these were pretty straightforward. I didn't show my work on these, but you have to show your work on these. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to do today. So I'd like you to pause the video and do these 4 problems. And the idea is that one of these 2 equations matches each one of these. So your answer will be A or B for each situation. So we're going to pause the video, decide whether it's A or B that matches each situation, and then come back and check your answers. All right, check out these answers. The real point of these problems is that you have to decide if you're dealing with addition or multiplication. So here we have 25 rows times so many seats in each row to give us 325 total seats. Here we're combining the number of soccer balls and the number of basketballs to get a total of 325, so we're adding them together. Here we have a number of cans in a case. So how many cases do we need to get to 325? So that's 25 times the number of cases to get up to 325. And then the last one, of course, we're combining Cleo and Pete's seashells. So that's going to be addition. All right, go ahead and turn to the next page, and we're going to do some more involved problems. All right, so for these problems, there's kind of a rhythm to them, where you're first going to come up with an expression, then you're going to give some more information that allows you to create an equation, and you're going to solve that equation. So let's take a look at part A, and then I'm going to let you try some of these on your own. So the first one says, Emma knows that her plant is growing 2 inches each week. Let W represent the number of weeks Emma's plant has been growing. So after 1 week, it's grown 2. After 2 weeks, it's grown 4. After 3 weeks, it's grown 6. So this is kind of repeated addition, which we know is multiplication. So the height of the plant is going to be 2 times the number of weeks, because it's going to grow 2 inches each week. And that word each is often a clue that we're talking about multiplication. Okay, now in the second part, they're giving you what the height actually is. So the question becomes, write an equation that allows us to determine how many weeks the plant has been growing. So before we just knew, 2 inches every week, but now that we know a height, we can create an equation and find out how many weeks it took to get to that height. So for this example, the equation is going to be 2W equals 16. All right, so now we can determine how many weeks it took to get there. Again, you can probably see what this is in your head, but we're going to do it algebraically. My operation is multiplication, so I have to do the opposite and divide. I have to balance, because it's an equation. And my final answer is W equals 8. All right. Let's see. I'm going to do the second one with you as well. So let's take a look at what this one says. Isaiah just bought a snow shovel for $9. He forgot how much money he had when he entered the hardware store. Let M represent the amount of money he had before he bought the shovel. Write an expression to show the amount of money that he has. So, if you're going to buy something, that means that you are subtracting it from the amount of money that you had. So my expression is I started out with some amount of money and I spent 9 of it. So after he spends that money, in number 2, we see that he has $25 when he counts to see how much money he has after he spent the money. So we know that after spending that money, he has $25, so we can write an equation. And that equation would be M minus 9 is equal to 25. All right, so now we're going to solve that to figure out how much money he had to start off with. And we have subtraction. We need to do the opposite. And not just the opposite of the sign, but the opposite of the number, right? That number has to be part of this. So we have to do a plus 9. And of course we have to balance it. And that's going to give me an M by itself on that side. And 25 plus 9 is 34 on that side. So we know that he had $34 to start off with. He spent 9. That ended him up with 25. All right, so there's a few more of these I want you to try, so go ahead and turn to the next page, please. All right, these problems all have the same rhythm to it: expression, equation, solution. So go ahead and pause the video, work on these 2 problems, and then come back and check your answers. All right, let's check out these answers. So the first one is a multiplication problem, because $4 for each person, so we need to multiply 4 times the number of people to find out the total amount of money collected, and then we have to solve by division. This problem, ignore. It doesn't make any sense. Didn't realize that till after I just tried to do it now. So, yeah, there isn't really an equation to write there. If anything, I'll just say that the expression is 5u, but here they're giving you u, so there's no equation to write there. So forget that one. So go ahead and turn to the next page, and we'll try a couple more. Again, these have the same rhythm: expression, equation, solution. So go ahead and pause the video and work on these, and then come back in to check your answers. All right, check out these answers. The first one is similar to the one we did earlier, where we started with an unknown amount of money, spent $10, gave $10 to Mom, and then we found out how much we ended up with, so that allowed us to figure out how much we started with. This one's $7 per hour. This is always a multiplication problem, okay? You know you make $7 for every hour that you work, so it's going to be 7 times the number of hours. So of course we have 7h equals 105, and then we use division to solve the problem. We get that she worked 15 hours. Okay, go ahead to the next page and try a couple more. All right, same deal. We have expression, we have equation, we have solution. So go ahead and pause the video, work on these, and then come back and check your answers. All right, let's check out these answers. This one's not too bad. 14 more points, so we know more translate to plus. Then we finally find out how many points Paul Pierce scored, and that allows us to figure out how many points Kevin Garnett scored, and of course we use subtraction as the opposite operation. This one's a little tricky. This turns out to be a division expression. So we have these lines in a poem that we have to divide among the three friends. So, I guess the key word may be each need to read the same number. Means they have to share the lines of the poem equally. So this one was kind of tricky. And then, of course, to solve this equation, I have to undo the division. So I multiply both sides by 3, and that gives me n equal to 51. All right, go ahead and turn to the next page. I think there's a challenge problem next. All right, this translation is going to be a little bit trickier. I'll give you a hint that it does not translate into a one-step equation. It translates into what we call a two-step equation. So see if you can figure this out. And yeah, pause the video, work on it a little bit, and come back and check your answer. All right, so this is translated into a two-step equation. So we know we have $10 per month, but they pay a one-time fee of $25. So that's going to be my constant. So it's that constant 25, you pay it only one time, and then $10 every month, so that's going to be multiplication. So we find out how much we paid in total. That allows us to make an equation. We're going to work with two-step equations a little bit more on Friday, but let me just say that you have to do order of operations in reverse. So when you evaluate, you always do multiplication first, but when you are solving, you do addition before you do multiplication. So I'm going to undo the addition first by subtracting 25 from both sides, and then that leaves me with 10m equals 80. Then I'm going to undo that with division and divide both sides by 10, and I get 8 months. All right. All right, so that's all the practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions, and if there's still some time left in the class, you can start your homework. Again, let me know if you have any questions.